Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be making a couple of different breakfasts featuring scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs can be one of those things you're really good at it or you still kind of need to practice. It's taken me a little bit to figure out how to make the perfect scrambled egg with my cast iron pan, but I have perfected it and I want to share that technique with you. So let's get in the kitchen and let's see what I whip up with some farm fresh eggs. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Carolina and I live in Montana. I do a lot of pantry cooking, food bank hauls, and canning and preserving on my channel. If that's the kind of content you're into, I hope you'd consider subscribing. Come join us in the kitchen. Alright guys, let's get in that kitchen and let's see what I can make. I have some leftover pot roast here that needs to get used up. So we're going to add it to our eggs this morning. Put some bacon grease down. I'm just kind of shredding it with my hands because that's easiest. That's good. I don't need too much. Oh, you see it's getting that crispy right there. My poor spatula is missing a tooth. Ah. Alright, so the meat's done. I still have a lot of that left over. I might turn those into enchiladas one night this week. And then we're going to crack open some eggs. Look at those beautiful farm fresh eggs. Probably should have had this a little. I should have my eggs ready. Alright, let's scramble these. Now, I used to add milk to my scrambled eggs, but then I learned a trick from one of you guys to add water. Because that kind of steams the egg as it cooks and it doesn't make it denser. So it actually makes for a super duper fluffy scrambled egg. And that's really all you need is just like a tablespoon of water. I did probably a quarter of a cup for this whole dozen. Let's get it in there. Actually, I'm going to put a little more bacon grease in there. Now, if you don't want to use bacon grease, you can use butter. You can use coconut oil. Like, I pretty much just cook with what I have on hand. And you guys know I have a lot of bacon grease. So that's what I tend to use a lot of. Because I'm trying to use up what I have without needing to buy any kind of more oil. So that's what pantry cooking is all about. Use whatever you have, whatever you can find that's cheap. So any cooking you see, you know, just kind of adapt it to what you have. So I like to have a super hot pan for my cast iron when I do my scrambled eggs. That's what makes it kind of non-stick, is having it super hot. At this point I'm going to turn off my heat because all I have is a little bit of that runniness on top. Look how fluffy those are. And so that'll cook as I put the lid on it and let the last bit steam. I'm also going to add my cheese at this point. This is mild cheddar. This is what I usually use because this is the cheapest I can find. I can get it $6 for a 2-pound block at Costco. So this is usually my cheese of choice. And we're going to put a lid on it. We're going to let that steam while our English muffins toast. Alright, our English muffins are done. So I'm going to put a little bit of butter on them. Husband doesn't like them too toasted, just kind of warmed up. Took me years of perfecting his toast. And then I figured we will try our dandelion jelly that we just made. It looks pretty good. Let's give it an open. Oh. There we go. So now it's open. So the reusable jar worked great. Or the commercial jar. I call it reusable. It looks a little loose. I can pour the jelly on there. After the fact, some of you guys told me that it can be a little. I mean, that was kind of the top layer. The rest looks pretty. I mean, it's holding the shape in there. Looks pretty, though. Also had a comment about using the greens in this, when usually with dandelion jelly, you only use the yellow part of the petal, and you would cut away the green part. But I wanted to give it a try without doing that step, because that, to me, is a lot of work. And this is what we're going to try. So I'll take a bite of that in a minute. Let's get the eggs. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So let's scoop him out beef eggs. Guess I ought to keep him full till lunch at work. Look at those yellow eggs. I love it. More like orange eggs. Now that's a breakfast that'll fill a man up. Let's try this muffin and jelly. That's really good. I like it. Kids are gonna like it. Let's try these eggs. Oh, that's cheesy. Mmm. Those are really good. Husband, we might have a problem. This is not good. I'm gonna have to confiscate this. All right. Well, I'd say this is a keeper. Let's see what I make next. All right, everybody, for today's breakfast, I have some canned up breakfast sausage. I'm gonna be heating that up and adding that to eggs, and then I have some cowboy candy that I want to add on top for a little breakfast burrito. So you can can up any kind of meat. It doesn't just have to be ground beef. So this is breakfast sausage that I have cooked up, and then I pressure canned it for meat times just like you would any other kind of meat. So that layer on top is just some of the fat that has cooled down, and that actually helps seal it as well because air and moisture are not going to be getting through that fat cap. And this fat cap is really going to be able to add some extra flavor to my sausage. So I'm just going to cook that till all the water is evaporated and it's nice and crispy, just like that. I added a little extra bacon grease, and then I'm adding my eggs just to make sure they don't stick to my pan. When cooking scrambled eggs, I like to start from the outside and kind of push them in and work my way around counterclockwise or clockwise, whichever, and just kind of push them to the center. By the time I get to where I started, the eggs have cooked, and then you pull it away and make a new layer for the next round of eggs to cook. With this technique, I have found that it makes it super fluffy and they stick together really well. I don't like a bunch of random loose pieces of scrambled egg. I like big fluffy pieces. So this technique works really well, and I hope that you guys give it a try the next time you try to scramble some eggs. Once they're done and they still have a little runniness to them, I'm going to hit them with some salt and pepper. Give that a good stir to make sure that the seasoning is coating all of the eggs. Now these aren't quite done, so I'm going to add the cheese and then put a lid on it to help melt that cheese and cook the eggs a little longer. Now if you can't find your lid, sometimes I'm running around trying to find my lid, you can also use another pan and just invert it on top of it, and then that kind of works as a makeshift lid if you need it. Now I'm just going to rough dice my cowboy candy. I'm just going to do it for husband and I, so I don't need that much of it, and I don't want big chunks of jalapeno, so dicing is the best bet. Now let's give it a check, and the cheese is not quite melted, so I found my lid. I'm going to put that on there, and we're just going to heat up the tortillas in that pan that I had used to cover it up. You could also do it directly on the gas stove if you want. And now the fun part of just loading them up. So I'm going to put the eggs, sausage, cheese mixture on there, which looks pretty good. I do want to kind of roll this into a burrito and not just use it as a taco, so you have to leave some room on the edges to roll it up. Now I'm going to add my cowboy candy. This would be good with like salsa or sour cream on there too. But that is what we had for breakfast. This is a good way to use eggs, but also have something different where you're not just eating, you know, a mouthful of eggs and some bread. This spruces it up a little bit, and that was what we had for breakfast. All right, everybody, for today's breakfast, I have some cooked sausage patties here that I want to get used up. So I'm just going to put these in the waffle maker, and then it's just, this egg's cold, but I think that'll be fine. So I'm just going to heat those up real quick. And then I have a thing of jumbo biscuits, butter that my mother-in-law got. And she's one of those where she's just going to bake biscuits, right? But oh no, not me. I got to spice it up a bit. So we're going to try this in the waffle maker and make sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits. Woo! But waffle style. Okay. So you see here, 2 biscuits. Now usually ones that are flaked is a little easier to separate. This one's doing okay. You want to take 1 biscuit and separate it into 2 halves there. And then we're going to kind of stretch this out. You can see that yellow is just the bits of This is probably shortening. I wouldn't even say that's butter. That's just butter flavor shortening here. So we're just going to stretch it out. Rooster says good morning. I'm going to put a little bit of egg. This is this is white American cheese on here. So I think that'll work just fine. I don't have any extra cheese. Alright, so we're going to put egg in it. With our sausage. I did wash my hands. I'm sure this is weird watching me do it with my hands, but I'm just a handsy girl. What can I say? I like doing it with the hands. Alright, so let's do a second biscuit. Same thing, just kind of look for the area that it separates. Stretch it out a bit. Just to make it thinner so it'll cook more. And then it'll give you more of a surface for your fillings. Put the eggs on there. Now for the sausage, I'm going to take it off. There's a little bit of burnt cheese here, but look how easy that comes off. Do you see that? This thing is so easy to clean. Alright, I'm going to cut up my sausage. Let's close this for a bit, make sure it stays hot. I'm just using my fork to kind of rough chop this sausage. It's reheated, it looks hot, steaming. This is the sausage I got from Costco. It's just frozen, and then I just cooked it on a pan for a couple of minutes. And it's pretty good. Alright, so let's put some different pieces of sausage on here. Since I only had 3 pieces of sausage, and right, I'm a family of 6, so it helps to stretch it out by just putting bits of it on there instead of a whole piece or even half a piece. You got to stretch it out to make it work. And I do have Colby Jack, perfect. Now you can use any kind of protein on this. Bacon, ham, chorizo would be good. It helps to have cooked proteins already, so that way if you need a quick breakfast like this, it's easy to do. Alright, so let's put half of a cheese on each one. And then let's stretch the top out here. Put it over it. I'm going to kind of push the edges together. It's a hole, it's alright, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Oh, get back in there. Crimp them together. Alright, and then I'm just going to do 2 at this time so I can get husband fed and get him out the door. Close it. Alright, so I'm going to set a 5-minute timer and then we'll come back. Alright, it's been 5 minutes. Wow, that looks really good. And the good thing about this is that it's so easy to clean up. These grates don't come out. They do if you take like the screws off. There we go. Look at that. Oh yeah. And that's what's for breakfast. And just like that, we have some delicious scrambled egg breakfasts that your family is going to love. Well, thanks for coming along and seeing what I whip up and how I use those eggs that I get from all my chickens. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time on Mama Birds.